First things first, those of you that are here already, can you hear music in the background? I guess it helps if I'm over. Totally understand, Alberta. Hi, Ladita. Hi, Mike. And all of a sudden, it just... Hi, Kevin, Bob, Lynn. All right. I am going to mute myself really quick and ask that it get turned down because it's quieter than it has been a little bit. Okay. Hi, Zach. And Ron. Oh, awesome, Bob. Who are you interviewing today?
I need you to turn it down a little bit.
Yes, definitely. Lynn, thank you for the reminder. Please remember to hit the like button. I was going to say, yeah, it was loud enough she couldn't even hear me holler at her.
Okay, you turned it down.
So anywho, what are you guys up to today? Today's premiere was on How I Buy Beef. So definitely, if you missed that, please go check it out after we leave here. But did you guys have any questions on that? Or what are you... I do have a couple of announcements, though. After that. So I guess while you guys are like figuring out if you have questions, water update. I did not do well this week. So I continued the water in the mornings. Perfectly fine. I did last Wednesday. I tried adding another glass. I've got a quart jar today, but typically it's like a pint or a pint and a half. And when I added in another pint, I wound up broken out in hives again, which was not helped by the fact I wound up with a mosquito bite. It's March. Why are there mosquitoes already? But anyway, so I kind of backed off that for a few days. I have finally gotten rid of the hives. So I will be starting again, and I'll probably, instead of doing a full pint, I'll probably just add 1 cup at a time, since my body doesn't seem to like adding that much water all at once. So, and then I'm going to do the pint in the morning, which sort of spans the entire course of the morning. As I'm taking medicine and stuff. And then I'll probably do like 1 cup of milk and because when I tried it, I tried doing just, okay, I'm going to get another thing of water before I get milk in the afternoon. And that didn't work well. So that is the water update for this week. Let's pop back over here to chat for a minute. Mike procrastinating working on videos. I wish I could say I don't know that, but you know, the premiere I just had finished uploading 20 minutes before it premiered. So I definitely procrastinate a bit. A PR and writing guy. That sounds interesting. It just seems like it's very early for mosquitoes. Typically they wait until which it has been warming up off and on. So Alberta, the thing with water, I am actually not drinking that much water. That's all the water I drink in a day. I had actually gotten to the point I wasn't drinking water at all because any water would break me out in hives. So, and when I say any water, I'm talking like I buy the filtered reverse osmosis clean water from the store. Hi, Paula. Glad to see you, even if you are busy. So anyway, it's not like it's like the stuff that's in tap water. It is good filtered water, but it seems to be a fairly common issue with mast cell. It's MCAS symptoms. I'm not actually diagnosed with MCAS, but it is a fairly high comorbidity rate with people that have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. And the reactions to water seems to be part of that. So it's not that I'm drinking a lot of water. I'm trying to get to the point I can drink any water. It took me almost a week to not break out in hives just drinking like a glass of water in the morning. I had hives for a good 4 days before they started going away. And then, so now I was trying to add more water because, I don't know, it's at least 8 ounce glasses a day that's recommended. Probably more than that because of my weight. So yeah, that's why I'm trying to add water to that. Especially when multiple people have told me I should not be drinking milk, but I was drinking milk, a lot of milk, because that doesn't break me out. Obviously, milk is better than something like, say, pop, although pop doesn't break me out in hives either, but it does sort of contribute to me feeling like crap, so I try not to drink it. Yeah, I don't know. I used to drink more water back before I started having issues. Adding stuff like blueberries or something like that at one point was fine. And then that got to the point I couldn't even do that. I don't actually drink coffee. Coffee is high histamine, as well as, I don't know. I have no idea why I react to coffee the way I do, but as a teenager, I used to drink coffee, and then I switched to kiwi strawberry Faygo for about 6 months when I started college. And then the next time I went out for coffee with friends, I was doubled over in pain after 3 or 4 swigs. So that was the end of my coffee drinking days. But yeah, coffee is high histamine, so it's not really a surprise at this point. I didn't know I had histamine issues back then, though. Tea also causes problems for me. Hi, Rick. Because tea is typically fermented in processing. Alberta, I'm not sure what would be for most. But yeah, so that's why I'm trying to add water in. And I had asked for you guys to hold me accountable to actually do it. So that is why I am doing water updates on here. Yeah, definitely no coffee for me. And I used to drink hot tea quite a bit. Oh, you know what? You might be surprised, Alberta. I have heard some people, like, I actually went to a couple of other YouTubers that and this is how I had realized it was fairly common with MCAS to have reactions to water. And when I asked them about drinking water, because they had commented that they still had reactions, but then they were still drinking, it just didn't make sense. And they basically said, well, I knew water was good for me, so I just dealt with the reactions. And like for me, it's usually hives or itching. But like there was one of them, she was having anaphylactic reactions. Like her throat was swelling shut, but she's like, but I knew I needed water. I'm going, I don't know. If something else didn't cause that reaction, I think that's the way I would go. Obviously, since, that's the way I went, was I just quit doing the thing that caused the problem. I have heard that, Zach. I have also questioned, based on my weight, if that is good, because you can actually get to the point that you are drinking too much water. So I was going to say, I want to say it would be over a gallon for me if I drank half my body weight in ounces. Yeah, if you're not a coffee or a tea drinker, not much point in starting. Although I'm sure Lance would try to tell you that you should be drinking green tea. Yes, and I'm not really sure what the water intoxication thing is. I know it can throw off your electrolytes and stuff. Hi, Sue. So anyway, that is my water update. I have maintained the 1 pint or 2 cups, but did not get the additional water in. Mike, why are you booing Sue? Hi, Charlie Grace. Okay, up next. Next week's video, I am going to be telling you guys about a challenge for the month of April. And I'm not going to tell you too much today. I'm just going to say, make sure that you have shoes you can walk in, or sandals. I'm not really, in my world, I'm just going to use whatever's on my feet, which is probably going to be Birks, or if I don't know what kind of area I'm walking in, it's going to be shoes. But okay, Zach, that makes more sense. 33, not more than 33 ounces per hour. I was going to say, and if you're unaware, 1 quart is 32 ounces. So that's a lot to drink in an hour. I wasn't aware Daryl was live, so that makes sense. Alberta, I have no problem with that. I was going to say it would possibly take a little bit more planning on your part, but I don't see why it wouldn't work at all. But anyway, so that will be my video next week, and then we can kind of talk about that during the live then. The other thing I wanted to mention that you might want to be saving, if you don't already, I think most people do, would be some bags of some sort to hold things. Like I'm going to be reusing plastic grocery bags. But so whatever you would need to walk or move around, and something to pick stuff up with. Okay? And I was going to say, it will be for the month of April, so you'll have a couple days after next week's live to figure out that kind of thing. But I just wanted to kind of forewarn you, in case, like, I don't know, somehow you already managed to walk holes into your shoes or something and need a new pair. And then One more announcement. Next Monday night, I will be going live after Prairie Life, who follows Van Vita Travels. And not exactly sure on timing, but somewhere in the 10:30 to 11-ish range, Eastern time. So I believe that would be 8 p.m. Pacific, I think. You guys can help me out with that. So I will be on later. And I don't have that stream up yet, but it will probably be up later today or tomorrow, so you guys can hit the reminder thing on that. Just make sure you have the bell rung so it will notify you that I've posted something. Oh, hi, Ron Darrell. Happy birthday, Charlie Grace. I think I told you that yesterday, but I think today is your actual birthday. All day breakfast blend is that tea, Rick? Yeah, okay. I was going to say, I was thinking that's what it was, but then it's like there's 4 time zones, and sometimes that throws me off. So anyway. Hi, Ray. No worries. Totally get it. Hopefully you are enjoying your time in the Alabama hills. So I don't really have a whole lot of other things to cover today. So if anybody would be interested in coming up and talking, if anybody has set times they are planning on being live, of course, let me know that. Have a great day, Kevin. Thanks for stopping by the premiere and coming in to say hi. As far as the Monday Night Live, I don't know if it will eventually replace the Tuesday Live that you're on right now or not. Still debating. One of those, it is kind of late for me on Monday nights, so we'll see. Coffee with chocolate, honey, and other flavors. That sounds yummy. I was going to say, my hot drink anymore is hot chocolate. And not even necessarily like the good homemade kind. It's... And I haven't made a whole lot of that this winter, honestly. But I don't seem to have problems with that one. So I find it really interesting that some things I just automatically react to, and like others seem to be perfectly fine, but they are definitely more processed. But then I suppose that's sort of like I don't react to corn syrup, but I react to sugar. So, yeah. All right, so I've got a question for you guys, because I know several of you on here are regularly traveling and such. What do you guys do as far as food storage and things like meat? Is it just kind of limited to what you can fit in your freezer or refrigerator, or... I react to any cane sugar. I haven't figured out a good way to guarantee I'm getting beet sugar. Because it would be interesting to test that. I do realize that white sugar is processed. I typically get the unbleached variety. And then but I react to brown sugars as well. Honey is fine. And maple syrup is fine. Which is slightly odd because that's one of those things that half the time it seems like people with histamine intolerance issues don't do well with those. But then I also react to things like coconut sugar because I don't do terribly well with any coconut. I have not gotten to the point I have grown stevia to try it. That's one of those things. Most stevia that you can buy in the store has other stuff added to it and is often bleached. So if it's a white powder, it is heavily chemically processed. And I know that I react to chlorine. So if it's been through a bleaching process, chances are I don't do well with it. I have tried liquid stevia and I do react to that, but I have a feeling it's whatever the base is in is also high histamine. A lot of that kind of stuff, it's either alcohol or that kind of thing to basically make a tincture out of it. Definitely agree with that, Alberta. That's one of those things where a lot of people don't even realize some of the inputs that they're putting into their body to wind up with the outcomes they've had. So for instance, if you guys have watched my shorts at all, I'm basically going through all of the different things that I've done to get chemicals out of the house. And that has, over the years, helped slow down or stop some reactions that I have, and has lengthened the period of time it took me to get to where I'm at before things kind of blew up and said, oh no, you actually have to deal with this problem now. I believe that is typically called Sucanat, and yes, I do still react to it. And it would be interesting to know if sugarcane is somehow high in lectins, because I do at this point know that I have problems with lectins. That's why I have to pressure cook things like tomatoes. But if that's the case, then it would be possible I should not react to sugar that is in something that is cooked in the Instant Pot. And that's one of those things. I haven't done a whole lot of research on that, because a lot of things, if I'm making them, I will just substitute honey or maple syrup. I do have some maple sugar to try, but typically I'm just trying to cut the sugar out completely instead of trying to find something that will work. Yeah. It's a pain, because a lot of times when you've got when your body's having issues with something, it's it's very resilient, honestly. So it's going to try to deal with it in normal processes as much as it can. And then once it hits that breaking point, other processes are going to try and take over and get out whatever is going on. So I notice that a lot when people are discussing histamine intolerance. There's 4 different, I guess you could say, histamine receptors. But pretty much all of the histamine in your body that your body either produces or that you consume is processed through one of 2 pathways. It's either DAO or, I'm going to butcher this, I think it's HNPT or I did a thing a couple weeks ago. I know I wrote it in the description. So anyway, but like, for instance, the way it has worked out for me, the low histamine diet reduced what was coming in. And that worked really well when I was at work and very regimented in what I was eating, when I was eating it. Hi, Tracy. I have looked a very little bit at Mediterranean style eating. Can you give me a brief synopsis in chat? I know you're limited to 200 characters, but yeah, so I mean, that's one of those, if you watch my supplement videos, I basically, once I was no longer working, and was also dealing with the stress factors adding to everything else already, then I had to figure out, so just low histamine's no longer working, so what other issues are contributing to this? And that's when I started getting into like the MCAS symptoms and what all affects your mast cells, and switched to not only low histamine, but also low lectin cooking. And so that has helped. But then I also started supplementing with like the building blocks so my body can produce the DAO to process the histamine that is there, if that makes sense. And my dog was having hair loss. I ended up having to work on the electric in the wall and found the mobile home I was renting was covered in black mildew. Yeah, that is not good. I was going to say, and I know that's one of those things that once you've developed some of those things, it can really get into your system and be hard to get rid of. And then, like, I mean, I know some of the groups I've been on Facebook, that might have been their catalyst, and then they develop all of the MCAS or histamine type stuff, and then they moved, but they're still dealing with it years later. That really doesn't surprise me, Zach. Because it seems to me that there's a lot of the black mold that is sort of like just entire areas seem to have issues with it. Whole grains, seafood and poultry, fruits, veggies, healthy fats like avocado and olive oil, Greek yogurt. You can have honey and dark chocolate moderately. Okay, so I did probably look into that more. And long and the short of it is, if you have sensitivities to lectins, whole grains are not necessarily good for you, because most of the lectins are found in the bran from the grains. So I react to gluten-containing grains, but then I also react to non-gluten-containing grains if they are whole grain. So like brown rice, I have reactions to that. And then seafood, as far as the histamine intolerance goes with seafood, if it is caught and frozen on the boat, it is typically okay, but a lot of places don't label where it's frozen. So, like, I have noticed that I typically don't do well with any fish. And that's one of those things. I don't like the fish enough to do a ton of research. I have heard that salmon is less likely, but I don't like salmon, so I just haven't bothered. I do eat poultry. Poultry skin is problematic, but not poultry itself for me, so I just get flash frozen chicken, which I typically buy from Aldi, so like I can get flash frozen breasts or thighs that are boneless, skinless, sold in the frozen section. And so basically as soon as it was processed, it was frozen, and it doesn't have the skin, which is high histamine, and I can just cook it from frozen and be okay. I do okay with some fruits. Other people don't necessarily. That a lot of times winds up being a salicylate issue. Veggies for me are hit or miss. Brassicas do really well, but squash, I'm broken out in hives or itchy. Avocado is typically high histamine, but low lectin, and I do okay with that. Olive oil is not great to cook with because of it's got a lower smoke point, but yogurt is completely off the table because it's fermented. And honestly, most chocolate's fermented too, but I don't seem to have a problem with it. Yeah. Yeah, it's like when I was first researching the histamine intolerance stuff, because I had a short appointment when I was told that I had it, it was one of those things where she's like, just Google that. You can find lots of information. Let's deal with other issues that you wouldn't necessarily be able to find. So that's one of those things where, Zach, quite frankly, I would make an exception if I had access to bluegill anyway. I miss bluegill. We used to live on a lake, and Dad would cook and clean bluegill, and we would do a mess of bluegill every few months during the summer. And since they moved off of the lake, we haven't had that. Yes, I said chocolate, you guys. It is normally fermented in processing, but I don't typically have problems with it. I'm not quite sure why not. But anyway. So yes, I would make an exception, but I don't know how I react to bluegill at this point, because back then I wasn't having the issues I do now. I forget what I was trying to... Oh, yeah. So anyway, when I started Googling the low histamine diet, I kept finding different lists of food that had differing opinions on what was allowed versus what wasn't, which was really frustrating. And then I turned to YouTube, and I don't know how many different comment sections I saw. So basically what you're telling me is just don't eat. And honestly, it really felt like that's like, just starve yourself and you'll be fine. And quite frankly, a lot of times doing that does to some degree help when you're having histamine issues, because your body gets a chance to rest and process the backlog of histamine in your system. So you'll start having less reactions. A chocolate-only diet. I don't know if I could do that. If I could have some variety in the chocolate, like, you know, chocolate-covered strawberries and sea salt caramel chocolates, and I could probably do that. Probably not healthy for me, but I could do that. I like chocolate. And it could be argued that chocolate is a health food because it is high in magnesium. I may have tried reasoning my way through selling pizza when I was a teenager, but because I worked at a pizza place, I convinced multiple people that pizza was a health food because it had multiple food groups. Yeah. Chocolate saves lives. I'm sure it saves lots of lives. We could always start a Chocolate Lives Matter situation to go with Pineapple Lives Matter and Nut Lives Matter. Sorry, Tracy. That's interesting, Alberta. I know that it's possible. I just haven't met people that typically do that. Fun fact, when I was in, I think, the 3rd grade, I was in a class that kind of did like project units where we do like in-depth studies of various things. Right before I joined the class, they did whales. But then when I was in the class, we did 1 unit on chocolate and 1 unit on ancient Egypt. I think that was it for that 3rd grade year. But then there was another year where like we did calligraphy and that kind of thing. Yeah, it's one of those. I would need more variety than that. A chocolate cake for breakfast. I would like to know more about that theory, Mike. I'm not a huge cake fan, to be quite honest, but
you love eating the icing.
I do love eating the icing. My son's calling me out over there. So I do think I am going to stop this live at top of the hour. So we've got about 8 minutes left here. And then I will let you guys get on with your day. Do you guys have any questions or thoughts? Or I'm really bad about junk food. Generally speaking, I eat pretty healthy, but I don't actually remember the 3rd grade, Zach. I may have just saved some of the stuff from the project and have been decluttering it. I don't remember much of anything before I was 13. And 3rd grade definitely falls before then. But I've also, I've been working on decluttering paper. I know some of you guys were following my minimalism game series in January. And oh my word, I have had so much stuff stashed in this house. It is unreal. Yeah, Tracy, it's definitely a challenge. And especially when you're like, nothing agrees with each other. And that was probably the most frustrating for me, because if you look at different lists, some things will say one thing is, and another will say it's not. And a lot of that depends on how they're doing the testing, because a lot of it is more like they're going to do survey data from somebody. So when you work in the MCAS reactions, a lot more things appear to be histamine reactions, that a lot of those can be mitigated because, say, for instance, so strawberries are high histamine, okay? But say, tomatoes. Although tomatoes probably isn't good because some people do react to other issues because of the nightshades. But anyway, we're going to use that one because it's one that I have completely reintroduced. So for me, I'm very limited on like the amount of strawberries I can eat because I'm going to start getting reactions. Tomatoes, on the other hand, they're considered a high histamine food, which a lot of high acidity fruits and vegetables are. Pineapple's another one. But tomatoes are high lectin, and that is mainly in the skins and the seeds. But if I pressurize a tomato in the Instant Pot, it breaks down the structure of the lectin, so it doesn't tear the holes in my intestinal wall and let it get to the point where they're somewhere to cause the mast cells to react. So from that standpoint, it's one of those things where if I can prevent my mast cells from reacting, then I don't have nearly as many histamine reactions because my histamine levels naturally stay lower. How hard was it to get diagnosed? So from a traditional doctor standpoint, I don't know. My process for getting the histamine intolerance diagnosis was that I had gone through a place called Any Lab Tests Now and gotten a bunch of sensitivity testing done and a few other things just for like basic normal testing that would typically be done through a doctor. My doctor does not cooperate with testing at all. Even paying cash, she won't order tests. So I go to Any Lab Tests Now when I want testing done, and they will do the tests. They have their own doctors that will order the labs. I think you can pay extra to have them, like, I want to say analyzed, but like to get like the doctor's reaction to them, but I don't typically do that. What I would typically do is like I got the results from that testing and it was a lot. It was a whole lot. And what I did, I scheduled an appointment with a functional medicine doctor over the phone and had her look at them and kind of try and help me make sense of how do I fix this to get rid of the hives? What am I missing? What can I actually eat? And she looked at the lists of sensitivity causing foods and realized that a vast majority of them were high histamine food. The other thing with that is that as she was looking at that, she also has like my medical history type stuff, and she could, I also sent her the test results. So she could, she knew like I had Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. She knew that anyways, just because she used to be my chiropractor, but so that's one of those. She had some history, like as much as I could kind of compile for her. And she knew that there was a link between MCAS and Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. So at that point, MCAS is one of the root causes for histamine intolerance. So that's how she's like, she felt pretty comfortable saying, you've got histamine intolerance, but I can't break down exactly what the root cause is because of X, Y, and Z. And as I've worked through this in the last year, I think I probably have more than one root cause. So that doesn't help anything. And then, like, right now, I'm in a class with her that she started for the course of the year that will eventually, I've been doing testing on, like, blood sugar and how I react to certain carbs. Which is interesting because, like, gluten-free pastas and stuff, I do terribly with. A lot of them, even though they're gluten-free, they still have, like, the quinoa and the brown rice flour and stuff like that, which is higher lectin. So, yeah. Hopefully, by the end of the year, I will have some more of the hormone stuff figured out. And she is not accepting patients, so I don't really know how to tell you to find a functional, other than Googling it and trying to find naturopaths. I think to some degree can help, but don't necessarily know as much about the pharmaceutical side of things if you're trying to get off medications. And I totally agree with you, Alberta, on no list is going to be perfect. I think what really frustrated me, it seems like a lot of them are put together based on surveys. So if somebody has histamine intolerance from something that's not MCAS related, they're going to have one set of answers. But if you're dealing with MCAS, some things that they don't react to, you're going to react even more to. But at the same time, some things that are considered high histamine that are low lectin don't react at all. So if you're new to all of that and trying to figure it out, it's very frustrating because you don't know who to listen to because there are a lot of lists. Zach, I am working on the decluttering. I've been working on decluttering for probably 12 years now. I am still probably on the hoarding scale. Actually, I know I'm still on the hoarding scale. But doing a lot better than what I have been at actually getting stuff out of the house. Pineapple does have a lot of bromelain in it, and it does help with protein digestion and some stomach issues related to that, and like enzymes and stuff. But if you are high histamine, it is probably not going to help you. I can eat honey, but a lot of people that have histamine intolerance cannot eat honey. Hi, Nate. I do agree that non-pasteurized honey is great for general health. It often helps, if it is local honey, it will often help with allergies and stuff like that. Hi, Justin and Christina. Yeah, and it's kind of tough to find a functional even in the US. And a lot of times, so as far as insurance goes, you're more likely to find a functional doctor that is sort of cross-listed and like they're practicing regular medicine, but they would be open to natural paths to wellness. Naturopaths are almost never covered under insurance, is my experience. Yeah, I mean, a lot of times there's more consensus than when you're looking at histamine intolerance, though. I mean, there's usually some realm of agreement within a field, even if like details are disputed. But All right, so guys, it is after 3. I am going to go ahead and end this now. If you missed the premiere earlier, I'm going to try and share this. Please feel free to go ahead and go back over and catch that. I was basically... Oh, that is really nice, Justin and Christina. I'm kind of jealous. So anyway, I was basically, last week, I got some questions on how I buy beef. And so I kind of went in more in depth on that and tried to answer some of those questions that people had. All right, so then my next question is, do you guys do meetings over the phone? Because around here, it's kind of difficult. Let's put it that way. Hi, Dana. I'm just wrapping up, but feel free to go back and catch the replay. I'm basically, very quick synopsis. Reintroducing water did not go well in the last week. I maintained where I was at, but wound up with issues when I added more. I am introducing a challenge next week in my video, so stay tuned for that, and I will be going live after Prairie Life Monday night as well. So I will leave you guys with that. Good to know. And I'm assuming since you said Ann Christina, you are Justin. So hi, Justin. I will see you guys Friday for Foodie Friday and then next Monday on that live in the evening. Talk to you later.